Good morning. Welcome to Filter Success. Um, in this week, Filter Success, we're gonna be looking at a chapter on decision. Um, Last week, we looked at organized planning, which was one of the most intense chapter yet that we have studied. The chapters covered topics on leadership. We looked at the reason why people fail to success, and we looked at the major cause of failure. We looked at the 10 leadership skills, and we also looked at the importance of having actual practical application for your goal. So on this week, we're gonna be proceeding on decision. I'll just read that from Dr. Hill book. Dr. Hill's book says that just bear me a moment. It goes an accurate analysis of over 25,000 men and women who have experienced failure was it was based on lack of decision. Um, and it says nearly 30 major causes of failure is also based on decision. Um, it's very interesting how you can see that most people actually are failing because they just couldn't make up their mind or they couldn't make a decision on to pursuing a goal. Um, then he goes on to say in here, he said also procrastination is the opposite of decision and is the enemy that every man should conquer. So also people that procrastinate, because the reason why people procrastinate first is because of the fact that they might think or might feel that they're not ready yet to put in action the desire or the goal. So therefore they procrastinate in terms of saying that we will do it when we are ready. Um Through the chapters and through the training course that we've been going through, I really I've already explained the need of not wanting to procrastinate, because we showed you in chapter of auto suggestion method where you could contact the infinite intelligence for precise steps how they will guide you whilst you're still on your current situation. So therefore meaning whatever your goal is, if it's money that you're lacking or experience that you're lacking, there are still so many aspects of your goals that won't require you money or skills in order for you to start now. So that's why we shared with you the technique of how to contact the infinity intelligence so they can channel the right action step for you that you need to start taking now until you are ready for the bigger step. So procrastination really is just another form of excuse of lack of decision, and that's also one of the causes why people fail. So I'll proceed on reading, and then Dr. Hills goes on to say that it even get worse for people like us and people like you that are interested in the universal law, because it gets worse in terms of your ability to make decisions, because first of all, the current society that we live in, um is we are constantly being bombarded by advertisement, by new invention, which alone makes it harder for us to decide on what to have, because they are constantly introducing new thing and new inventions. So people are always feeling the pressure to adapt on new things. What gets even more complicated is once we start learning about the universal laws, because the universal law, because it's so tangible and it is straight, it's quite simple in a way to know that you are what you think, so what you think about is what you bring about. That also kind of bring confusion in a way that people won't be able to decide precisely what they want, because now you got this new knowledge that you can literally have anything, and then people start wanting everything, and then stop because the process works, you need to focus on one thing at a time. So now you know that you virtually it's virtually possible for you to have anything you want. What people tend to do now, trying to focus on 10 things at one time, which even makes it more complex for it to manifest. So that's why it is always advised that if you have more than one goal, to list all of your goals down and then set them by priorities and start tackling them like that, one at a time, by your priority, what you need now or what can wait later in the future. Okay, like in Photo Success, we always like to give an illustration for better understanding and better planning. And the illustration that I'm gonna use today, um, is the illustration of a child in a candy store. So, with us in the century that we're living in, and with the knowledge that you come in contact with now, it actually makes you like a child in a candy store. Meaning, when a child walks in a candy store, everything in the store looks yummy to them. They literally want to have every single candy, but the parent or the carer wants them to choose one item so they can purchase it for them. And what usually happens to kids, because they got so much option, they want everything. And bearing in mind, the carer told them that they couldn't have everything, they could only have one item, and it becomes challenging for them to decide on what actual item that they are after. Uh, and the same way, because the carer might be busy or they wanted to proceed with the journey, what tends to happen is the carer now will try to influence the child decision, so in order for the child to decide so they can leave the store. And most the time is the decision that the carer will make for the child, usually it wasn't actually what the child wanted. The child wanted another fruit or another candy, but because of their lack of decision, they now they're gonna eat something that they wasn't intending to have at the first place. So that's what happened with us, with also with the universe, because we have so much option, and the knowledge that we coming to acquire now, it actually allowing us to have anything that we want. So with our lack of decision, what tends to happen is the universe start to provide things for us, and then the thing that we might be provided with, it will be our essential basic needs, but that may not be the life that we are dreaming to have or the life that we're intending to live. So, but the universe has to provide some basic form of living for us, e.g., your shelter and water, and the method that you might provide it, it might not be what you exactly wanted. So that's why it's best for you to decide, so the universe know exactly what you want and provides you what you want. Okay. Now, like for a success, I said that we like to go directly into practical implementation of the technique, because it's best for you to have your own first-hand experience, because it's good for me to share with you my experiences and to share with you stories of people. But what's best, I need to have your own story and your own experience. So because of that, today I've got two practical application exercises which you can take on board and start practicing to harness your decision making skills. So on the first application, the first technique we're going to share with is, as usual, is one of the basics, but knowing now that mastering the basics, that's what makes you the master of the actual reality of the thing. So the basic concept that we're going to share here is basically to help you start making quick and accurate decisions on your everyday life. And it's best advice on anything, especially on these kind of exercises, that you first start making small decisions such as where's the next venue you're gonna go watch a film, or when you're planning your next family big holiday. And the trick here is always go with the first thought that comes to your mind. So once an opportunity arises where it requires you to make a decision, it's advised for you to always go with the first thought that comes. once you make that decision, you must learn how to stick with that decision. Meaning, when people start trying to come and to give you the point of view on the decision, even in your head, the decision you made start to seem as though is not the right decision. But the fact that you already decided, you should start practicing to seeing your decision through. Because remember, we explained that how your mind at the current present state is faulty based on the program that you've been having during your childhood and your environment. So right now you're trying to listen to your higher self. So your conscious mind might be conflicting with those new original thoughts that are coming through, because they might be thoughts that you're not experienced with. So your conscious mind might think, oh, I never heard of this before, so this might be strange. So the technique here, what we're trying to do is just go and see it through. And even if you're wrong, learn to pray the price of listening to yourself. So that's the technique number one. So when opportunity comes for you to decide, go with your first thought, your first instincts, and see it through to the end. Um, Even when people telling you that the decision that you made is not the right decision, develop the habit of avoiding to listen to people until you see your decision through. Okay. Um, Another great habit that you need to start developing is the habit of keeping quiet, and that's the practical exercise number two. We're gonna share with you techniques on how to learn to keep quiet. Um, Before we move on to that, you might think like, okay, that's a bit arrogant to not listen to other people and to only listen to your own advice. In a way, yes, it is arrogant, but in another way, is you training yourself. So, do you want to live your life based on your own thoughts, or do you want to live your life based on the thoughts of other people? And here in For a Success, we are trying to make you a self-reliant person. So, therefore, we will go with the option that you should start listening to your own thought rather than listen to the thoughts of other people. I understand in life sometimes it comes to time to make decision which will require you advices of other people. That's what we discussed in the previous chapter, the importance of creating a mastermind group. Because the mastermind group, there'll be people that are aligned with your desires, so the most accurately to give you accurate information which will help you in the decision of your goal. So in terms that you don't have a mastermind uh, um affiliate or alliance, the best thing is you could gather information by gathering all the information that's available out there for you by fact, or you could ask people with the technique that we told you before without intentionally referring to it as being yourself, but putting it as it's someone else's character. And you could gather information like that before you decide. So once you gather information, then you assess it and you make a decision. But the trick is, once you have decided on something, try not to change it because someone else has told you to change. Try to see it through and pay the price of listening to yourself. And eventually, you might be getting wrong decision in the start, but eventually you'll be aligned with yourself so well that you'll be listening to your true thoughts, and most of the time you'll be accurate than wrong. Okay, so I just had to clarify that so people know that it's just not about being selfishness, but they actually know the purpose of why we're doing this. Okay, so moving on to the practical exercise number two, and that was for you to learn the ability of keeping quiet. um I expect why it is important for you to be quiet at times, um and then how you can start developing this habit. And I'll read from Napoleon Hill. Okay. Um. So it goes, every time you open your mouth in the presence of a person who is abundant with knowledge, you display to that person exactly your stock of knowledge or your lack of it. And genius wisdom is usually through moderation and silence. Also keep in mind that Every person with whom you associate yourself with are like yourself, seeking for opportunity to accumulate money. And if you talk about your plan too freely, you don't be surprised when you learn some other person has beaten you by putting your goals into action. And then basically that's one of the reasons why you should keep quiet, because when you talk, if someone has knowledge, you'll be able to assess how knowledgeable you are or how lack of knowledge that you have. In similar manner as well, when you talk about your plan freely to somebody else, you might say, wow, that's a brilliant idea, and they go ahead and put in action before you put in action. So that's why it's advice for you to try to keep quiet, especially about your goals and your plans, unless you have a mastermind alliance. Okay, so the exercise of how you can start developing this habit of keeping quiet. The example that I'm going to use is for someone that's working on a job of 9 to 5. So while you do, you can set an alarm clock at 12 o'clock midday. And the purpose of the alarm will be for you to label it as quiet time, and then set another alarm 45 minutes after that. You name that alarm out, how did it go? Okay, so when your first alarm rings at 12 o'clock noon, you should proceed doing everything as usual, but the only flip of the thing is stop talking about yourself directly to other people. So don't mention what you're planning. Don't just talk anything that relates with you. Rather, make your conversation about other people or something else rather than it being yourself. Okay, and then after 145 minutes has gone past, then assess yourself how well you did and how you made yourself feel, and eventually gradually start to increase those time by 1 hour, 2 hour, the whole day, a whole week, a whole year, until you get to the stage where you're comfortable not to talk about yourself. Because usually what happens, especially with people like us, like myself and you, that are coming in contact with this universal knowledge, we usually get overwhelmed with the information that we get and the genius brilliance idea that come to us. You get overwhelmed and you feel like you want to go out there and change the world and tell everybody about your idea, um which is your natural instinct as a human to help other people evolve. But with the knowledge that we're coming through now, it's best for you to keep it silent and proceed with your plans without directly disclosing to people what you're intending to do. And plus, you double your power that way as well. Okay, so those are the two exercises that we have today on this chapter of decision. And then I just go a few quotes to keep you guys motivated. And one of the quotes says, "Tell the world what you tend to do, but first show them." So there you go. It's always best to show the world what you tend to do than rather to speak it. So in another word, that put your stuff into practical action, and once you got the result, then you can show it off to the world. Okay, so now, just before I close off this chapter, a quick chapter this is, but it's a very profound chapter because it's mainly talking about application techniques for you on your decision skills. Okay, so before I close it, let me just tell you that there are power in nature, um and through the whole chapter or the whole course that we're going through, there are 6 specific key chapters which are actual power chapters, and we strongly emphasize in thought of success these key chapters. So once we finish the course and you're qualified, those are be the main body of chapter that we recommend you to start looking at most frequently when you have a new goals to set. Okay, and then I'll just quickly read what are those chapters are and the reason why we believe in them in thought to success. And those chapters are desire, decision, faith, persistence, mastermind, and organized planning. And the reason why we believe in those 6 chapters being the power chapters are: desire, you must want something to work on. Without you having the actual goal that you're working on, it's quite impossible for you to manifest anything. And that's why it's important. Decision, without you deciding on what you're actually going to work on, it's quite hard for you to manifest anything. And that's why it's important. Faith, without you believing that the impossible is possible, without you believing that you achieve what you want to achieve, you're not fueling, or you're not feeding your intention, it's quite hard for it to materialize. And that's why faith is important. Persistence, without you actually seeing your goal through to the end, it's quite impossible for it to materialize. And that's why it's important. um Mastermind alliance, seeking help from other people with similar intention will facilitate you to come to your goals a lot quicker and make you see it from different angles that you never saw of it before. That's why it's important. And organized planning, you must have action plans that are practical, that will actually enable you to take the right steps to the attainment of your goals. That's why it's important to have organized planning. And those are the reason why we said it is quite crucial and important for you to actually master those 6 chapters. But don't worry, we're gonna run out the course, and after when the course is completed, those 6 chapters will be the chapter that we're gonna be focusing on most of the time. Okay, so that's all we had for you guys this week. Hope the decision exercise is gonna assist you very much on your journey of success. Until then, we see you next week on the actual chapter of persistency, because that we believe is one of the key. Until then, I wish you love and peace. Bye.